We call the September 17th, 2025 Select Board meeting to order. 6:01 PM. Do you have any adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none. Take a motion to approve the minutes of September 3rd, 2025.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
If any further discussion on the minutes, additions, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Comments from the community? Hearing none, we'll move on to the correspondence. We have a letter from Alfred and Kimberly Wheeler. Been notified by the town of Wolcott listers to write you and request a name for the private road we are installing as part of our subdivision at our property located at 678 Brook Road, Wolcott. They said we need to have a name that isn't same to any town road nearby, as this farm has been in Kim's family for generations. As a dairy farm that was called Valley View Farm, we'd like the name of the private road to be Valley View Farm Road. Thank you for your consideration. Do we have any discussion on that?
I think it's a great name.
Great.
Private road, yes. You said
Yes,
it twice now.
and it's private road.
I think it's a great name.
So I'll make a motion to name the road after subdivision road off of 678 Brook Road to be now called Valley View Farm Road as a private road. Wait a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we have a highway permit, curb permit for Anthony Marin, lot number 4, East Hill Road. Looks like it's off the Allen Road, Town Road 24. Well, Dylan signed off. Pass it around, you can look at it while I read the other correspondence. Oh, it's just a notice to the town, of withdrawing from the Wolcott listers. That we're gonna have to pay a fee for withdrawing land. Well, it looks like when we buy the properties, well, I'm not paying. I'll deal with it.
A negative on the notice to withdraw.
I've already sent, when we first acquired these properties, for the forest. With the help of Trust for Public Lands. And for the Westover property, when we first acquired it, I sent the notice to withdraw to the state. You don't actually because we're a municipality, we're not actually withdrawing it from current use, but because our status as a town, we don't get a benefit. If we wanted to actually withdraw, we would have to pay, but we don't really. So how do you feel? Have any problems with this new driveway?
Same question I had before is, has the work been completed?
No, he approves them prior.
Well, that's not how it should work.
That's what.
He needs to go and meet with them, go
Yeah.
up there and tell them what they need to do. And when they complete it, he signs off on it, that they completed it according to what he told them, like, how do we know whether they put in the culvert, he said, or something?
Well, that's the second aspect, but they have to have a permit before they can even start the drive.
Yeah, and they usually they fill out the permit and it sits in the town clerk's office for a couple of months until they do that.
Oh, okay. Until it's completed.
Either that, or, and we are going to talk about driveways, maybe there needs to be another section where the follow-up is signed off by him. Otherwise, it just gets lost somehow.
So it's approved at the second approval.
Permit is granted, upon application and then approved.
And I don't think the select board would need to approve it again. I don't know, what do you think?
I don't think it hurts to have more eyes on it. But as far as granting the permit, I don't know that we really need to. I don't know that the select board needs to grant the permit necessarily. I feel like the highway department can grant the permit to start construction. But the final approval before it becomes a recorded document in our saying.
A good idea.
Which I think that's how I read the existing one. Anyway.
Well, should we wait until it's completed to sign it?
Yeah, I won't sign it. Stop.
Okay. We'll wait.
But point of procedure, the permit is granted, they can start construction. Dylan obviously went up and did the sight lines and did all the other things that need to be done.
Well, it's a Allen Road is a private road anyway, but. Looks like they had the culvert off the road.
Allen Road's private.
Yeah, we threw it up.
Well, if we threw it up, then why are we getting drive a permit in? You should have to apply for 911, but if it's a private road, you don't need to be a part of that.
Well, eventually it will, if they want to make it a town road, why don't we make them do it right?
I mean, I don't disagree with that. I'm just curious.
Here's another question. Who pays for the signage, the road signage? I've been telling Tom that I think it should be on the subdeveloped business, that the property owner to pay for the new road signage. And I've gotten a price. It's not cheap. It's about $200 to get the road sign. You do it well.
Doesn't it say that in our sign ordinance and,
I think it said that in our subdivision.
yeah, subdivision? It says it in our sign ordinance, if you have a subdivision, you're responsible for all the signage.
And I think I remember reading, but I don't think that's been the case. I don't know what's been the case. We haven't had this kind of stuff, this kind of movement in a long time.
Right.
And I think they should be responsible for putting up their own signs. It's costing us a lot to install the sign.
Well, I disagree with that. I mean, they could put it anywhere.
No, we will tell them where to put it, but they have to actually install it. We just don't have a budget to send someone out to install the sign. So we either need to create a budget or put it on, back on the property.
How do they install these signs?
They would dig, like, they would use a whole auger. And then, some of the newer signs, because of the size of them and these longer names, I priced them out and they're big signs. So the width of the sign is determined on the name itself. So they were recommending 2 posts for these longer names. I don't know if that's true, and it doesn't seem like that's something we have to enforce, but they would, they're what, 9, 10 feet signs, so. They would just dig the hole and they would screw it on first, dig the hole and somehow figure out how to get it in.
I'm assuming all these new signs have to have the breakaway piece in the bottom of them, so.
Yeah, so,
So you wanna make sure that's done correctly, because if not, it ain't gonna work right.
yeah, I didn't price, I just priced the sign posts, I did not price the, like stop sign breakaway posts.
That's the only problem I can foresee with that, is that if the highway guys make sure it's done right, you know it's done correctly with the breakaway stuff, with all that. If you have the homeowners do it, how are you gonna know it's done correctly?
Well, and depending on traffic volumes and speeds and things, you don't always need the breakaways.
On these private ones, probably.
And depending on what the signs are, you don't always need breakaways.
I know we use breakaways for the major road signs, the notification signs or whatever, the yield and stuff sign.
Yeah, it does say, I don't have the exact text in front of me, but it does say that during a subdivision, the cost of installing and maintaining all of the public improvements within that subdivision falls to the applicant. As far as who installs them, I don't know, I still think that it ought to be, again, if we're on a private road, the highway department shouldn't be out there doing any of it. If we're at the intersection of the public road and the private road, then I don't see any reason why our guys can't put a signpost in.
That would make sense, but if it's at the intersection of a public road and. Well. Because most signage is gonna be at the intersection of a private road and a public road.
Right, you're gonna have your stop sign there and everything's gotta be MUTCD compliant and. You know, the elevations of the signs have gotta be right.
But on these smaller roads, if they're, starting on class 4 road or whatever, you're not gonna have a stop sign. We're not gonna probably install a stop sign, or are we required to?
I think that depends on when the subdivision happens. I think that the DRB has the ability to restrict how certain things happen, but I also think that it's pretty common that any road that has an intersection is gonna be a controlled intersection. It's gonna have a stop sign.
So who purchases the cost? Is that the homeowner as well?
According to what's being here in our, again, I don't have the exact text in front of me, but it typically falls on the applicant.
And those are with the breakaways, because those are the.
Well, you have to read the ODT or whatever you call it, sign thing. And they'll tell you what we have to.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, but it doesn't-
What is that called?
I've read it. It's the part of the, yeah, I've read it because we had to do this for all of those things that
Yeah.
Kurt kind of put us through, and it doesn't go into specifics like that. It doesn't talk about individual intersections like for private, I mean, it talks about the major road signs. And street name signs, but it doesn't talk about, do you have to have. I mean, there are a couple of roads up on like East Hill and Town Hill that really don't have stop signs where they should. I'm trying to get them up there, but. Anyway, I'll find out.
Would Alex know?
There's a lot of private roads that don't have stop signs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of silly. I mean, I think if you have a big subdivision of like, but before, when Pinnacle Lane was, before it was a town road, I would say that's a big road. You know, big subdivision, it probably should have one, but
Do they have to post the speed limit too?
Private road that can do whatever they want, really.
But they need a stop sign at the intersection. Okay.
if the DRB says they do.
I don't know that the DRB needs to specifically outline that.
Well, who's gonna outline it then if they don't?
Right.
Right.
It's like Pinnacle Lane, it doesn't have a stop sign. They should. Because that's
Yeah, they
coming off
should
Route
have one.
15.
Yeah, and you're coming down that hill.
And that being a state highway, I imagine the state would have something to say about that if they were made aware.
But who is responsible for buying one for Pinnacle Lane? I mean, who developed that?
Now that we own the road, it's us.
There are a couple of roads that still need signs.
Yeah.
But our sign budget is getting up there. So
And talking about places like Brookview, Brookview is a huge development. There's
Yeah.
72,000 houses down there now. And a failure
I love
of,
that tax base.
a failure of, how that was subdivided starting in the 70s was that the regulation said that we were getting in the weeds here. The regulation said that there needed to be a highway, like a road, private road agreement. And so it's written into everybody's deed down there that there is a private, or there needs to be a private road agreement, but nothing has ever been written. So now you've got homeowners that have been there for 15 years and homeowners that are just developing now. And there's not an equal share of the road maintenance, and that has become an issue in this room before.
So is that for the DRB to develop that?
The problem is it's already all been subdivided and it's something that all of the homeowners down there are gonna have to come to terms with on their own. In the future, as some of those last few remaining larger lots do get carved up into building lots, the DRB has some power there, but again, not really, because the precedent has been set, especially there, that as long as we meet the regulations by stating that there needs to be a private highway, private road agreement. I don't know, it's a hairy thing.
But if you put it as a condition, I mean, the same thing as where Megan lives. That was a big friggin' mess because there isn't one. An agreement. You plan to pay for a whole bill or a portion of the bill that I live on, and it should be a condition, I personally feel, in subdivision, just to alleviate a lot of tension.
For new subdivisions.
Yeah.
Like moving forward.
Well, and again, it's written in there that that needs to be, the problem is the realtors when they're selling, and I'm thinking of one in particular, when they're selling those lots, they don't make the buyers aware of that, and they don't present that as a package. They sell the lots, they cash the check, they leave, and the homeowners are left holding back. And now it's up to them to organize and to create these documents and create these agreements with people that they may or may not know. I mean, you've got a 5-lot subdivision, 2 lots sell. That's easy, but then you gotta get the buy-in from the next 3, and when the realtors aren't doing their end. So it is written in our ordinances for subdivisions that there needs to be these things. The problem is the DRB can put the condition on there. What happens from there?
So I have a question for you. So what happens when one of the people that live on the private road decides to build his own driveway and no longer contribute to the private road? Everyone knows who I'm talking about. What
That was
happens?
smart.
Is
They had that option.
They had it, right, but if you set this policy to say like when the subdivision goes into place, you have to have this
It would-
maintenance agreement.
it would depend on how the maintenance agreement is written. If the maintenance agreement is written, Some of them I have seen are written as each person pays an equal share.
Right.
Where I live, for example, I use 30 feet of the private road. And my neighbor Peter at the end of it uses the whole thing. The road stops at his house. Equal shares. But they could be worded so that it's, per lane mile or whatever. So if I'm using my 30 feet, I pay 30 feet worth of maintenance. He pays the remainder. I am of the mind that if you're not using the road, you shouldn't have to pay for it.
So what I'm hearing is the DRB should initiate these agreements and pay for the road signs before they sell, because if you have 5 property owners and 2 lots have sold and the other 3 haven't, then 2 people are on the hook. Paying for the signage and everything.
I don't believe the DRB has the authority to do that. I don't believe that the
But
DRB.
they can have the authority based on our ordinance to say you have to put up signage, correct?
Yes, and we already have that, which is why these guys just asked us to name their road. We already have that. As far as who pays for that, I believe that it's the applicants. I think that's written in the ordinances.
That's why I put on the driveway sign that the fee, that it's been paid.
Yeah.
And we'll put maybe any signage that needs to happen under there as well.
As far as the DRB writing up road maintenance agreements, I don't think that's our place.
No.
So
It's the property owner who wants to subdivide. Responsibility. Okay. We move on, Michelle? Okay. I think that's all I have for correspondence. We're gonna move on to our public hearing to authorize submission of 2 community development block grant applications. For Wolcott, we have here tonight Megan Royer and Tori Hoey of the Planning Commission to explain.
And so you all have copies of the applications, it's like for the pre-app copies.
I thought you were bringing them.
Well, I gave you the 8 copies last week. And
Oh, okay.
and you guys there. There's copies of both the community wastewater pre-application as well as the Wolcott floodplain restoration application. So do you want me to just go first, Tori? So as Linda noted, there's 2 separate community development block grant applications that LCPC is working on with, we're actually working with professional grant writers as well. These are pretty intense, I guess you could say, applications with a lot to them. So yeah, we're working with professional grant writers through the Ready program. And the first application is for the Wolcott floodplain restoration project. The second one, which probably we'll talk about after, is for some additional funding for the community wastewater project. And so you all have the pre-apps in front of you. We also have this information on the website as well. So the Wolcott floodplain restoration community development block grant application is really just taking 2 of those hazard mitigation planning grant applications that the town had applied for this past spring, and taking 2 of those restoration sites and kind of combining them into one community development block grant application. So the 2 sites again are, you have kind of that primarily Fish and Wildlife property on Dead End Road. So that's one proposed floodplain restoration site across from Flatiron Road, where we we'd be looking at hearing money for both design planning as well as implementation. At that site, the kind of the goals and things that we would look at would be potential floodplain restoration, like lowering the floodplain, reconnecting the floodplain to actually create flood storage capacity. And also just provide us more space so that there's area for debris to kind of settle out and to dissipate the energy of the river, you know, when you have those like flash floods, for example. And reduce flooding impacts, of course, reduce flooding impacts on Flat Ash Road, Full Street, reduce impacts to you know the town garage, the fire department, making sure this impacts reduce those impacts in the village area of Wolcott in general in terms of flooding. So that's the first site, and then the other component of that site near Dead End Road is engineers would be looking at removing those old bridge abutments that are in the river there. To again kind of create more space for the river to flow and explore that. And then the other site, on this floodplain restoration project application is up along North Wolcott Road. So kind of your David Heater's Schoolcraft property area, just kind of from East Road and north up that way. And it would involve, again, design planning and implementation funding to look at putting up the design plan. So that's the Dead End Road one. And then the North Wolcott one involved kind of looking at, further stabilizing the streamway, reducing erosion, but also, again, looking at floodplain restoration and enhancing stream buffers to create more room in that area, more flood storage capacity, more room for those large logs and debris to settle out so that there's less log jams, hopefully less ice jams in the future too. It also creates space for ice to settle out when you have those like January freeze thaws. So yeah, it would help reduce erosion, reduce flooding impacts, create space for debris and sediment to settle out and try to just dissipate the energy, the energy of the river in those locations. So those are the two sites that are just essentially, combining these two former HMGP projects into one community development block grant application. And you'll notice there's the back of the pre-application, and we have the cost estimates as well as like conceptual design plan. So this block grant funding, if we're going to secure it, it would help us kind of go through the rest of the design phase, because we really only have 10% plans right now to hold these things. It would help us get to 30% and then 100%, and then actually implement projects as well. And then as part of the application, we have, close to 5%, it's a little under, but close to 5% reserved for LCBC to help manage the grant, provide project management support. These particular grants have a lot of administration to them when you're managing them. So that's why we're budgeting, probably a little more than we normally would for grant management. There's also a lot of financial reporting aspects that, our finance manager would be dealing with as well. So we have usually really 5% budget for our time as well. Yeah, and I think they're great projects, and we have reached back out to all the landowners, and they're still on board. They're still supportive of these projects. We're gathering updated letters of support. We already have one from town. We already have several landowners in the area. So we're just hoping it's from us, and we really think this is a great grant for these projects to fund them. And Tori, do you want to actually first let me see if there's any questions about that before Tori talks about the wastewater. Questions about the floodplain restoration application. They are due September 30th, so this time frame wise, that's we'll be submitting them towards the end of September.
Megan, did you say that the funds will help you get to 30% design?
They will help us get through the whole design process, all the way through to 100% design and implementation. Both of those, 100% design and implementation of these two program restoration projects.
I might have missed it. Did you say there was any kind of town match? Anything we have to?
There is no match, which is the beauty of it. No match. And you know, as you can see, these are bigger projects, so yeah, a funding source like this with no requirement. LCPC would be the applicant in this particular case. You know, there's just felt like that would be a little more efficient in this case, because we have a grant. A lot of administration involved with managing these types of grants.
My last question has nothing to do with the grant, more to do with when things are completed, but looking at. So the one up here on 15 is state and town access to that. Isn't really a challenge as far as, you know, maintenance and upkeep. Would there be, I guess, is there a duty for the town to upkeep the floodplains after it has been restored? And if so, is there gonna be any kind of agreement in place that could let us get in there and do that?
So where the floodplain would actually be lowered would be on like the Fish and Wildlife owned property. So that would be up to Fish and Wildlife. It's my understanding, and I think we can always circle back around with Linda and Fish and Wildlife, but you still have the public right of way on that end road, and you could maintain, you know, that public right of way. They, as part of this restoration effort, you know, they would want to like pull up the road to a certain point.
Yeah.
But then still, you know, have like a footpath and stuff down. But I think the idea was they would only dig the road up to like where the red trail crossing is and still have some kind of like unimproved parking space for people.
Yeah.
So you'd still have like that public right of way access if you choose to maintain that.
The harder one would be getting across the brook and getting, you know, by the Heath Road project. Which is kind of that's about the lines.
Yeah.
Necessarily. I just was curious if there is a duty or onus on us to maintain that.
I think it would fall more under Fish and Wildlife in terms of the floodplain portion, but you know, if the town wants to continue to have a public right of way up to a certain point, and you maintain that public right of way, right, but where the road still goes.
And they did come to us asking us if we wanted to give them that right of way. We didn't answer them at the time. But they have approached us.
Yeah, Alec mentioned there's maybe some recent conversations about that. So it's certainly a conversation we continue to have with Fish and Wildlife as part of the design planning process.
So is it, so this is the third time for this one, for Fish and Wildlife. No, we did brick,
Oh, brick. Okay, you're right.
and then we did.
Third application for that site, yeah.
So is any of the same people, that they know that we keep going? Applying, I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah, Fish and Wildlife is aware. I've been,
No, but the people that are gonna review this and award the bid, the grant application.
yeah,
Is
so,
it any of the same people or?
I don't know exactly who's on the review committee, but I do know in the application, there's a place where we're gonna call out and say, these sites are actually BEM priority sites. And mention that, you know, applied for housing mitigation planning grant and passed. They're on BEM's list as a priority. But we are gonna call it out.
Good. Yeah,
So that they recognize that. Okay.
Did you say it's a BEM's priority?
Yeah, it's both restoration sites are on BEM priority list. I'm not receiving. Any questions about that one or?
Yeah. The two. It doesn't show them here on the opposite side of the overpass. There's two little structures from a previous bridgeway. Are those going to be removed too? or-
The old bridge abutment?
No, you're talking down where the bridge is on. I'm talking on the side. There's, used to be an old railroad track. It went across to a lumber yard here. There was 2 or 3 existing, I don't know what you want to call it. Pillars that are in the riverbed. Are we going to remove those also?
I know they're mostly focused on the old bridge abutment, but.
I mean, now would be a good time if you wanted to, because the river's so low, you can see them real clear.
Kind of like, I think it's the theory.
Just on the inside.
There's like structures in there.
Yeah, there's some structures from an old railroad crossing, because there used to be a lumber yard on the other side.
Okay. I mean, it's certainly something we could explore as part of the design plan process, make note of it.
Because they do
Makes sense.
have logs and debris hang up on them.
Who owns that property over there? I'm very different. Things
It's-
all together.
I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he works for the state. Yeah, he owns it.
He owns. He owns across the river, he owns across the river.
No,
He owns across from 15.
on 15, after you cross the overpass.
Yeah.
That's the section I'm talking about, but prior to that used to be a lumber yard,
I see.
and they used to have a railhead go into it.
Huh.
So there's like 2 or 3 structures where they used to have the pillars for the supports.
I won't speak for him, but I bet you get buy-in from him, should that be something. That they ended up doing or wanting to do.
I mean, they do hang up logs, debris.
I think it's something that could be explored and it's one of those things to see, you know. Does it fit in the budget? Or to speak, and make sense to do it same time. So, yeah, no, it's worth noting.
I mean, I mentioned it before, I thought it would have been put into it.
Maybe because like it's a different property owner, so you know, we'd like to buy in for Fish and Wildlife and. Focus this kind of like. Near dead end road, and the Fish and Wildlife and assume. The property dead end road as well, where that can't connect. I'll make note of it.
It may not be that bad, but I know right now, stuff will hang up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a good point. Great, thank you. Yeah, we could do, we wanted
Yeah, I think it's clearer.
the board do a motion on this grant application first, and then Tori can talk about the wastewater.
So I'll make a motion to authorize the Wolcott Planning Commission to submit the CDBG grant application for the town of Wolcott floodplain restoration project on behalf of the town of Wolcott.
I'll second.
Do you have any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Even in the minutes, should we just note the amount too, maybe?
I can, in the amount of, $2,697,000 $817,000.
That is,
So similar to Megan, the CPC is also proposing to submit a grant application to the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funding. The request $1 million in additional covered contingency funds for the project supporting implementation phase of the new community wastewater system in the village. In addition to keep the project as affordable as possible, improving flood resilience, maintaining the grand list, sustaining existing homes and businesses, and supporting the community spaces. The new project will protect vital infrastructure and help the town recover from the July 2023 floods. Creating a shared community beach field located outside the floodplain will help with flood recovery and also help protect water quality for Wolcott and downstream communities. The project has already secured several other funding sources for construction, including state wastewater ARPA funding, ACCD community recovery revitalization funds, and a Northern Borders grant. The project's currently in final design and permitting phase. Some environmental review was completed this summer and is wrapping up currently. The 60% design plans are in a draft phase, but are being submitted as a part of this application. They're under review and are being helped by the state currently. But the project team expects to wrap up final designs in the coming months and go out to bid over the winter. There was a detailed description included in the pre-application about how flood recovery in particular is being incorporated into the project. And we're also working with professional grant writers to submit the application by the end of this month. Other grants for the project are also submitted by the town, but like Megan had mentioned earlier, LCPC would be the applicant for this one too. And I'll pause for any questions. Yeah, let's add that a similar request was submitted for congressionally directed spending earlier this year and was nominated by Senator Sanders' office and did not move forward through the appropriations process. So this request also is jumping back in to avoid from that request.
Any questions?
I'm sorry, I'm having total technical difficulty.
Just go on and you listen to the recording.
You can't hear the call, it's not good.
Oh.
Well, just give me a second to log back.
In the meantime, I should mention that in different of these grants, not just specific to Wolcott. Your planning commission is applying for a planning grant. I've asked them to put money in for a study on moving the fire department and the garage out of the floodplain. I think Sarah's working on that one.
Yeah, with Melissa, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a critical project listed there.
so there'll be other towns for planning monies, I think. I don't know what else is involved in it, but
Yeah, it's kind of like a countywide planning grant application
right.
where we call out a couple of critical projects such as like feasibility studies to locate the Wolcott Town Garage Fire Department. And other communities, will benefit from it in terms of, like represented design planning for floodplain restoration projects and that kind of thing. I mean, in Wolcott, we have, or actually, no, it's 10%. So like, what other towns that aren't as far along in the process for some of these floodplain restoration projects? And that planning grant will help them get, say, 10% design, or if you already have 10% design to be what further. So yeah, it's gonna help in a variety of different ways. Several communities around the county.
Right. Well, I just anticipate if they could, maybe find these sites and I don't know what the permitting and that sort of thing. Then we would be ready when there was other money that comes down the pike,
Yeah, we have that leg up.
right?
I've often heard you say this usually shovel ready money, but we're not.
Right.
For this
I wanna
step
get
that we're
shovel
doing.
ready.
Yeah. Yeah, this would give you a kind of feasibility study. Take a look at what your options are for relocating the facility.
It's not allowed.
Yeah, if you're patient, you can get free money.
It's the first thing.
Have to be patient. Yeah, so a separate public hearing is being held for that planning grant, and planning grant at.
Oh,
Whereas like these other ones, if they were catered to the town, we were required to hold public hearing. For the town select board. At least.
I had the motion written down anyway, so if someone just wants to make the motion, it's.
yeah, we did. Oh,
The second one,
no, we're waiting. Okay, we're ready?
yeah, says it Martin and then
So I'm gonna make the motion to authorize the Lamoille County Planning Commission to submit the CDBG PR grant application for the Wolcott Community Wastewater Project in the amount of $1 million on behalf of the town of Wolcott.
I'll second.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you again for your hard work on these applications. It is a lot of work.
It's gathered. Okay.
Finally,
So, I interviewed two people, and, I've chosen, Nicole Rich. He gave me a resume, which, I called on her, her recommendations. She had a Richard, Sylvester, she had Sally Gardner, she had, Krista Peck. And, she had written me a letter about her experience as a landlord and stuff and what she did. And, she seems very organized. She fits the criteria 20 to 25 hours a week. We're gonna start out at 20, Monday through Thursday. She's willing to take $20 an hour, for the, 90 days. And, then after that, we would probably, if everything works out, move her up to the 21, and she would be happy with that.
should be taking insurance.
No,
No?
I would, like to give her holidays, if that's possible. But she didn't indicate she wanted vacation or sick time or anything like that. She'll only be working 20 hours a week. And, she would like to get done in time to go pick up her niece and nephew. So that would get her done, if she works, say, from 9. Or she likes to work in the morning from 8, so we'll work around it, and she knows days that, we have elections and stuff, she'll be working more. And then we would just cut back on the days and keep the hours about the same. She came in and shadowed me, one day to get a sense of what it was like, that we do different things. Michelle met her, and
Does she have any financial background?
she does. She, her skills are mostly, with, Windows, with Excel and everything. But she manages the farm's books and everything, so she has all of that experience. She also did graphics, and she, has she went to Emerson College, and she has a BA. And she graduated, magna cum laude. So she's very talented. She only wants something part-time because she knows she does run her business. And, she's learned quite a bit, like, that she's learned how to be a plumber, a landscaper, and a carpenter.
Handyman positions filled.
She also runs a part-time storage business. She has to be very organized. And now she is, she has very good customer service skills and working with both tenants and storage customers, which is the human resource part of her job. Her sister is taking up, horse therapy, equestrian, is that what it, she said equestrian therapy?
Oh, I saw.
So they now have horses, so she would learn how to, be a mechanic. And so I think she's very quick learning. She also is going to help me write manuals. She's seemed very excited about that, of, how to, procedures, manuals and stuff.
So I'm excited.
So can we go back to, where will she fit in? In terms of the town personnel policy? Just because you mentioned holidays, I just want it clear in my head.
I have that from the personnel policy, full-time employees or other employees with specifically negotiated contracts who have fulfilled their 90-day probationary period will receive the following paid holiday leave. And you can do that. So you just appropriate it, like if she's working 5 hours a day, you would pay her for holidays for if it fall on the days.
She didn't mention it, but my conversation with Michelle, because it was in the personnel policies, I'd like to offer her holidays. If not, she's never mentioned. And she would get the work the 52 hours and get the 1 hour personal sick time.
Well, she has to, doesn't she?
Yeah, right, yeah. But we were just going over the personnel policy and where she would fit in. I would have her start
So she
Monday.
wouldn't sign the personnel policy?
Oh, no,
No, she would.
No, she would.
I think everyone has to sign the personnel policy.
No, what I was saying is,
Belinda and her don't have to, but then they don't get anything. If they want anything, they have to sign.
She doesn't qualify for health insurance, but she could qualify for not vacation for holiday. And she doesn't really qualify for vacation either. But that's where the combined sick time, sick pays off.
Yeah.
Personal.
we were just going over personnel policy to see what I could offer, and what I couldn't.
I don't have a problem with it, I just want it to be clear with everybody how it is. That's all I'm getting at. And you said, so she's gonna start, at 20 hours a week. Did you say you were gonna give her more?
No, it would be up to 25 hours if we like needed more, you know what I'm saying, like during elections.
Sorry.
But
But it
tax
wouldn't-
time.
it wouldn't bump her into retirement.
No, up to 25, you know. But she's good with 20 because that works in her schedule.
So a guaranteed 20 with a cap at 25.
It's good for our budget.
And
You are saving the insurance, so
Right.
that's almost 13,000.
she to say
She's very smart.
I get her.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm confident.
I think she'll fit in.
I think she will.
Smart, and she's.
She's very organized. She'll get you organized, you girls.
she asked a lot of questions
Yeah.
and I she shadowed me when I was doing land recording and stuff.
I do think she's very inquisitive and likes to learn. That's what she goes over and helps Sally at the library and does her programming.
Yeah, that's what Sally said. That Sally helps her.
I don't have a problem. I think it's a good choice.
Yeah, she would start Monday if that would work. I told her I'd run it by the select board, but I thought everything would be okay. Her parents really got married, so she was not here last week. I didn't know they weren't married. So that was a surprise for me. So she went to New York, so. And her father's doing much better, so. The other thing, is I did want to, mention, just not to take up all your time, a few things about the transfer station. a little concerned about the profit and loss for the first 2 months. I'm not concerned about the town. I gave you the towns too. But as you can see, with as much as it's, costing us that $400 a pull, we are running a deficit. And,
Already, we had a lot of money.
well, no, I mean, this is just profit versus loss for the 2 months. We're not running a deficit because we have money set aside. But if we continued like this.
Right.
Yes. So, and even with the CD interest, there's only one that's calculated monthly I can look at. Muni Bank doesn't do it that way, so that one I can't see, but it might be around the same amount because it's the same rate. The other thing is, Silvio's going to be taking off the last weekend. His sister, he wants to go visit his sister in North Carolina. So I've arranged for Basil to work with me Saturday and Sunday. So we'll get a feel, I guess you can see how he's going to do by taking the lead, and I will observe and stuff. I got a few messenger because they closed early last week because all the dumpsters were full. And so I have ordered a sign that's magnetic that will go on the transfer station when they leave. And they close the gates, it will say transfer station closed, bins full. So then they'll know why we closed early. And I put it on Front Porch Forum, and we put it on the website that when we close early, it's because we have to, because we don't have any more room. It's not because we just decided to take off early, as someone suggested.
How do the receipts stack up against the last year's first 2 months?
Good, it's the pull.
Yeah.
We've gone from 200 to 400.
Right.
That's when it's hauled away. And actually, we're up into the 2300s right now, each weekend. Other than the one where they were closed one day and I only was open 2 hours. But during that 2 hours, I took in $800, so.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to sit down and think about it a little bit further. I'm struggling to figure out how we are doing the similar revenue numbers. Should actually be doing more in revenue because we're overfilling our bins and still not being able to capture.
Well, the bulk is what is the most expensive, is when we pull that at $400. But it's not completely full, like that we haven't packed it down. Because I don't have the guys do that anymore, because they are busy. And so on Sunday, Basil and I try to move things around, but you get these big mattresses and box springs. You're not always able to move them around by yourself, by human power, I guess you could say. So there are some areas, sometimes like one pull was 0.63. I try to never let it go unless it weighs over 1 for the bulk, but there's nothing I can do about it. We got a new dumpster for recycling. So that's working very well. I've asked them for a new container for the garbage because we've had to fix one of the doors with a golf putter. Sometimes Basil is a genius. He really is, because I would never have thought of using that putter to fix the door. Because the door was off and we were able to rig it up and stuff. But I'm always afraid when we get out on those dumpsters. But it was fixed and it's been working. And they didn't even notice. Casella didn't even notice that that's what we were using. And so I had to mention it to him and ask him to have it fixed or to get me a new one. We're not taking as much scrap metal in, and the compost, I would love to go up to another dollar, because that price has gone up. But I won't get into it tonight, but I want to do one more month, and then I'd like to have a serious meeting about prices.
I've been actually looking for different haulers.
Yeah. I reached out to one that's in Morrisville. Well, no, Hyde Park. Oh, I forget the guy's name. Cause he does, he takes dumpsters to people, you know, like, but he doesn't haul for companies. He just has individual open ones. He doesn't have any closed ones. So. The good news is Bear has moved on. I'm going to have Basil start cleaning up, like we will do that weekend. I just didn't want to put him in danger, but, the guy from the state called me, Fish and Wildlife, and, he's not been there for the last 2 weeks, because they've been monitoring him. So that's it, but,
Well, I'm glad we didn't spend all that friggin' money.
yeah. Oh, I thought somebody came in. But, yeah. The bear has moved on, so. And actually, Mike Green told me he would, so I did listen to Mike. But, yeah, it's going good. I just want to get, and I'm gonna update the sign up there at the transfer station too, so. But I wanted to do it at the same time if we wait till if we made any changes to any of the. I did have a conversation with one person who brings a half a kitchen bag, and wants it's the only charge $2. I said, we don't have that key I don't have a $2 key on the cash register, so please wait every other week or you're gonna be paying $4 a bag. And that person was a little upset with me, but I tried to explain that.
I didn't want the smell.
Yeah,
Neither do I, but,
so I said, I mean,
yeah. I want to put it in a kitchen bag, trash bag.
$15 one is, the 15-gallon one is $4. And he says there's only $2 worth in there. I'm like, well, I'm still charging you $4. That was a conversation.
We'll wait another month and then I think we should look at, maybe we can just advertise for some other hauler. I mean.
Yeah.
But do we rent the things from them?
Yeah, that's still 150.
Do we have to still?
No, well, we can do that separate. That's a whole separate.
We can.
Yeah.
Can I go back and vote on hiring?
No, I don't think we have, the only thing is, that we have any authority over.
Is how much salary? You have to vote on
We
that.
can't, no, we have no say in who she hired.
The 20 is in the, and the 21 is in the budget, so.
I don't wanna beat a dead horse here, but our revenue numbers are the same, we're hauling the same frequency, but we're filling the bins. Seems like maybe revenue isn't being captured.
I
I said, I hate to keep beating this horse here, I'm just.
I understand what you're saying. I do.
Or, maybe I don't have an accurate picture of what last year's revenue, cause
I do think sometimes they undercharge. And I think I had to educate them in recycling. That 5-gallon or whatever it is, that blue thing, that's $1. But if you give me a huge trash can,
Yeah.
that's $2 to $3, and I'm gonna charge you that, and so I've been trying to let Silvio and Basil know. This is not $1 anymore, this is more money, because even recycling has to start trying, I know it's never gonna equal, but it's gotta have more profit. And compost is sadly behind because of what Black Dirt Farm charged us now.
Next month, when we have our bigger conversation, can I get
Yeah.
last year's numbers too?
Yep,
Thank you.
I'm more than happy to. Actually, we track every quarter. And I can send you the reports I send into the state.
Okay.
Yep. We have to be accountable because they charge us surcharges.
Just curious to see I would be curious to see what the revenue versus the weights has been. See if those are tracking.
Yeah, we're paying a little bit more, for garbage too, than we were before.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and obviously doubling the hauling charge is gonna hurt, but I mean, we're talking about losing $1,500 a month here. I'm not sure how. I just not how we're doing that.
As you can see, the rental fees are the same, that's moving charge, 96 versus the rubbish disposal is 47 on the. It's more than what, I mean, for garbage. And as you can see for compost, I mean, we're getting 80 times taller than the 495 to get rid of it. So. The recycling is the same, that one's just about even. You see how, well, that's without the haul, you see, you gotta remember that. Where the compost, that includes the haul. I did think about going to a different, portalet. Might be a little cheaper, but. I'm not gonna say much there.
I'd be curious to see what the weight slips versus the revenue.
And the miscellaneous repairs was the electric fence. That's the $137. Oh, yes, I will come see you guys next month and we can have a serious conversation. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I met with Larry Smith, who is Vermont Lake Town Senior Loss Control Consultant. He stopped by today. I had let you guys know that when I talked to Passive, they're gonna be sending him out. He kind of around the kind of contacted through.
Yeah, he was just checking in with us. He had been going by. He said, he was in the neighborhood, he said. And I said, well, that's fine.
So I gave him a map of the new Wolcott Community Forest Trails, and he did go out and walk a couple of them, because that's what the conversation I had with Passive indicated, that he would just come by and let us know if he sees anything. And I let him know that we opened it on the 13th, on Saturday. The brand new, I put him in touch with Gordon, so now they're talking. He just recommended that we have any volunteer workers sign the waiver. He asked that they follow safety protocol. So I put him in touch with Gordon. So if there's anything that he sees, he'll let us know. Jamie Mercier will begin re-roofing the south side of this area tomorrow. So they're starting tomorrow. I did ask that he take a look and give me a quote to install the library snow guard this year. So because he's going to be here, he thinks that he should be able to purchase it and install it for under $1,500. It's going to look a little bit different than the other ones, only because he doesn't think that Alpine Snow Guard makes the same model.
Only because these ones won't fall off and land on the ground.
No, not those. Those are bad. This is the, I'm having to just put in the bar. The other, and then we'll have to figure out how to probably keep, by not shoveling it, keep that part of the walkway closed, the ADA part, because Sally said nobody's ever used it. I know that's not in compliance, but I don't know what else to do. It's hard to keep that area shoveled anyway, the way it's being plowed. So I'll let you guys know once we get a bid on that.
But wait, I think I missed something here. So we've got, you know, it's a public building. We have to have emergency exits like here. We had to put on that door, but he's saying that we're not gonna use one of these doors to
No,
keep
I'm
it
saying-
open.
We're gonna have 3 doors still usable, but the ADA walk ramp. Sometimes the snow falls off the roof. That's why we put in all those
Yeah.
staggered snow guards, the
Yeah.
spikes. But they don't hold. Our roof is just clearly too old to hold those. So we're putting up a bar because those are, you can insert those differently, you can install those differently. So the bar will be similar to the bars over the other 2 doors. But that doesn't prevent the snow from falling off on the other end of the bar onto the ADA ramp. And that's a safety hazard, so I'm gonna keep that ramp closed until we can figure out how to make that safe. So we'll keep snow in front of that ADA. I mean, it wasn't open last year either, the snow just kept falling, and Bob used to shovel it, but he said it was just not tenable. That's why he wanted us to get the bars that would prevent snow from falling. But it's unsafe right now unless you did a bar all the way across, and I don't think we have it in our budget to do that.
So how is someone in a wheelchair able to access the library?
Sally said nobody ever has.
But that doesn't matter.
I know, but
Well, so put it on a list that we need to be an ADA compliant, and whether it's shoveling and they come in the back door. We need to think of something.
there's not a ramp back. I mean,
It could be. I mean, whatever, I'm not gonna fight with you now about it, but we need to put it on the list.
The back,
Come up with an idea.
the back door wouldn't be a bad idea to have it as the backup ADA entrance. Be a backup one.
All it takes is one time someone wants to go there and sues us.
And when whoever did the, oh God, you told me once. Somebody anyway patched the deck up because the deck was failing. And I said I was gonna shoot some elevations and see what could be done. I think that we could rip that deck off and do what needs to be done with landscaping. And I know the guys are busy and we could contract it out if we wanted to, but pull that deck off, put some fill in, and I think that we could do it all at ground level. And just not have a wooden deck there. It would alleviate some of the ponding and pooling that happens.
would we be able to shovel it?
Should be able to plow it.
Would it be historically compliant?
It's just grass and gravel. It wouldn't really attach to the building. It's just raising the grade around the building.
So you can put cement like out here.
Well, what he's thinking,
Certainly could, but
I would.
what he's thinking of is,
We're gonna lease it for cafe at some point, so.
Yeah.
You're wasting your money. Just remember the septic tank is gonna go where those posts are at the end of that building. That's where it's gonna go.
At the end of the library?
Yeah, you can see where the holding tank is now, those posts there.
I'm essentially just saying, take the deck that's there, put it in a small heap and light it on fire. And bring
a lot of gravel to make a nice ramp up to it for now.
2 loads of ditching material and an afternoon with a mini and a yard rake. Or not, we don't have the mini, but an afternoon with the excavator and a yard rake, and we could raise the elevation, because it looks to me like the road is here, the foundation to the current ground level is here, and the sill is there. All of the water is running in and running underneath that deck and ponding and pooling, and it's gonna rot that sill plate out on that historic building anyway. If we bring the grade up, to the sill or just below the sill.
Isn't it weird how the front is high and the back is low? Why is that?
Sinkhole, I don't know. No idea, but if,
Is it like the foundation went?
How would you shovel that though? I mean, it's just gonna be gravel.
Since if it's just a ramp, it's like, it's just shoveling a ramp to a door.
Yeah,
That's
you're
it.
creating a dirt ramp, basically, a gravel ramp.
yeah, but the ramp I'm talking about is 20 feet wide. It goes from the door out to the driveway.
Over there, it's 20 feet wide.
He wants to raise it along
Well, this is a conversation for another time, so put it on the list and
So you
then.
don't want me to have that.
And you can have a conversation with Mike. Well,
Have the snow guard itself.
Yes, snow guard,
yes,
just thinking about ADA compliance.
Right, all right. We still have only received one bid for the attic insulation. So I've been calling them to see, I don't know what happened with Richard Gravel. Did find the information, the packet that I gave to somebody in the trash right before when I was like working out. I don't know, one of the bidding people threw it away, so I don't know if Richard Gravel's not gonna bid. But I've been putting out messages just to see if we can get those bids in, so we can start working on scheduling that. I think that the solar installation will be happening fairly quickly after the shingles are done. He has a November 15th deadline. We had annual inspections done. I had them done for and maintenance for all the furnaces and heating units in all of the buildings, as well as the generator has been inspected. So they're ready to go for winter. The fire extinguishers will be inspected in November. So that's when they're due. As far as the highway department, the road was completed, East Hill Road grant, the grants and aid project. We're meeting with Alan Jones next week to sign it off. And then I can apply for the funding, the invoicing. Dylan and I are meeting with Dan Judkins next week to review, he's with V-Trans, I believe, to review Elmore Pond Road grant work that we had done. And then he's gonna review the site that we would like to do on, it's probably Jim Ryan's culvert on Road for the next year's Better Roads grant application. They've been working on the vehicles, just maintenance on the vehicles, doing a lot of the work themselves. Joey's been grading a lot of the roads and adding gravel. Wolcott Road, North Wolcott Road is going to be in the newly paved sections that were done last year. We're having asphalt cracks sealed with liquid asphalt on Monday and Tuesday of next week, I'm sorry. And the road crew is gonna serve as the two flaggers because we're saving like $3,000 to provide our own flaggers. The 1-ton truck. So it's nearly 10 years old. It's a Ram, it's a Dodge Ram 2016. It needs to be inspected by October 31st of 2025. Dylan thinks it's not going to pass inspection as is because it requires a lot of body work. He either needs to repair the body with some steel sheets, or he wants to replace it with a flatbed. The flatbed's gonna cost about $4,000 to replace it. I want to let you know that already we have 2,800 thus far in this fiscal year into the 1-ton because we had to replace the body control module. In the past 2 years, we've sunk 7,300 in the 2023-24 year and 7,200 in 24 to 25. And again, we have 28 in this year. Plus we've got to work on the body. We need to think about getting a new truck. It's do we get one this year at this year's prices before the tariffs come in? If we make that consideration. Dylan priced an F350 gas motor because they're about $12,000 diesel. And and that would pay for the plow attachments. We priced that at 84,000. We'd like to get the 1 ton on the 5 to 7 year cycle, investment cycle and schedule as well. He thinks that we can sell the current 1 ton for about 15,000. I think that's his estimate. If we sell it, if we can kind of make it happen before it needs to get instead. I guess the question is, do we continue to put money into this for the next year, try to get it inspected? Or do we want to think about getting a new truck?
Well, I know this equipment repayment schedule isn't up to date, but it's close. So we're in the 25-26 year.
Yeah, there's no wiggle room there. We would have to probably, when I looked at it, I didn't see a lot of wiggle room. There's not really much.
I mean, next year's budget, it jumps up $25,000 that we need to put in the equipment fund. Next year's the big year. Then it slowly goes back down.
Yeah, after that, we start, now, the only thing we're losing in 2026 is the fire truck.
You weren't supposed to tell.
What is it?
That has nothing to do with this equipment payment schedule.
No, I know.
So it sounds like we're stuck with just keeping it going for a year and might next year be able to do something, but if not, we might have another
Next
year.
year's even.
I'm of the opinion if the truck has a value of 15,000, it's worth putting another 2,000 in to continue using. It does need to be put on a replacement schedule. It absolutely does. We need to look at putting a new truck for the guys. The question is, what do they need? Does it need to be a 1 ton with a 9'6" dump body? And if it is, and I didn't look that closely at the spec sheet, is it coming with a highway wing so that it can do more than what this one does? The 350 is 2 grades lower than what we currently have as far as capacities.
I thought you said that the 1 ton is the equivalent of 350.
I thought we had a 4,500 or a 5,500.
It's a Ram, so it's kind of hard to compare it.
It's not. The 2,500s, 3,500s, and the 4,500s are all the same as the
I know that.
350s.
The type of. Can go grab it.
But they're directly comparable. The F-350 is the same as a Ram 3,500. They're in the same class as a Ram 3,500.
Do you want me to pull the title? I thought when I was talking to Dylan, in fact, I think I asked him that, and I think he said that it was comparable to the 350. Because I said, is that going to be big enough? And he said, it's what we have now.
Even still, this is a spec sheet for the exact same truck. 9.5 foot V plow for reasons unknown to me. Not the highway plow, not, a real highway plow, which was a complaint he had about not using this one, was that the plow was kind of a standard issue, homeowners, driveway plow, not a highway plow. Like I said, we do need to talk about getting a truck. This is not the truck, in my opinion. It's not spec. It's not spec to highway standards. If we are going to go with a 1 ton, it's my opinion that we should have a 1 ton that has a wing, has a highway plow. And it should be in the 4,500 to 5,500 class range. If we're gonna stick with a 350, I see no reason to pay the extra money for a dual rear wheel with a dump body.
Okay, I'm gonna let you talk to him about some of this.
Okay. As far as what to do with this one, yeah, it is. It sucks that we put, you know, $8,000 a year into it. But. And again, I'm 1/5 of an opinion here, but before I'm on board with dropping another $83,936 on a truck. I want to know what the use of that truck is gonna be.
That's exactly my question
Well, the
too.
use I can tell you is they use a chloride and
They
stuff.
haven't for the last few months because it's been sitting in the
But
weeds.
again, it's not been a good idea to use the other trucks.
They
because-
didn't like using the ton truck and the tandem axle equipment trailer either because it was eating the trailer up and it's not as handy to turn around. Last time I talked to Dylan, he was thrilled to be doing chloride in the tandem because it made more sense.
Okay, then I don't know. That's what he said. And that we do need it to plow our parking lots. Otherwise, we've got to get someone contracted to plow the parking lot.
Bought parking lots for a long time for $84,000.
Well, yeah, but you gotta think ahead.
Oh, I don't disagree. That's like I said, I'm on.
To me, it's a waste of money to be spending a contractor to plow.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly. I just,
It depends though if it's done on time. Or when the office opens.
there's no, I can't think of a use case where we wouldn't be able to have that done, barring mechanical failures and catastrophe. You know, highways need to be plowed in the following order: bus routes. And, you know, then whatever else we say, bus routes first.
They also shovel and plow. And they also use this truck to get the smaller areas that our big tandems can't get onto, a couple of the smaller roads.
Yeah, this, in my opinion, what we have now and what this is spec'd at is too big to be little and too little to be big. It's right in the sweet spot of not being able to do anything effectively. If we went up 2 sizes, this could be a perfect fill-in truck for a salt route, for the North Wolcott route. You know, those nights when we get a little bit of freezing rain, rather than coming out here and filling a tandem and shipping a CDL driver out to do the salt route or to just do the corners on the North Wolcott road, a slightly larger truck could manage that. Or if we don't want to go that route, doing these parking lots, pulling the chloride trailer, pulling the smaller, you know, equipment around, making runs back and forth to Burlington when we're picking up parts, whatever else we're doing. We don't need to be buying 6 tires. We don't need to do that in a dual rear wheel dump truck. We can do what that needs to be done with a smaller truck.
So you're looking at a 150 then?
No, I would say 250 minimum. And you know, 350 would be fine with me, but let's not spec it with this Iroquois Aerolite.
I think that's the first, like Dylan was at a training today, so I don't know if he fully looked at that because he was there yesterday talking. So I can't guarantee that Dylan like fully agrees with that package.
Yeah. Well, and this is even sillier. This is even sillier than I think. It is an aluminum stake body, so we don't have the benefit of the dump body, but we are also paying for the scissor hoist. So it's an aluminum flatbed that dumps. I'm lost here.
I think he wanted the benefit of both because I did ask him about that and he said that he could, I think I said, I don't fully understand how that, like, how does it hold the sentence up so that there's an insert? If that's what I'm understanding correctly.
It sounds like he doesn't want to have to take a piece of equipment to load something heavy and put some straps and lift it up. That's what it sounds more like.
No, it's not a hoist in the way that it grains things on. It's a hoist in the way that it tips the body up. So it would help him It would help him dump things out of it, but it's not gonna help him load stuff. Anyway, yeah, we do need a new truck. I don't know how we're gonna do it this year. It doesn't sound like next year is in the cards. And I don't think that this is the truck. But I'm 1/5. I'm happy to be outvoted.
No, I'm not in favor of it.
So you want us just to then get it inspected, put whatever we need to get into the truck to
I
keep
mean,
it going?
Within reason. If it cost $84,000 to get it inspected.
Well, there's just no money. There's just no money right now. Not that kind of money. Unless,
I just have to say, we don't have money, but then they get yelled at when they don't get the work done, and so we have, somehow this has to give.
who's yelling at them?
Everybody yells at them, and you guys included. There's always criticism that they can't get the work done, but there's no money and they keep getting their budget cut. So now their repair budget was cut, their sand, their chloride budget.
Where are we gonna get $90,000?
You said, you told me, Linda, that we have a capital budget and that's what it's for.
No, it's for,
Those are your words.
right. We also have all that money we're pouring into our equipment account.
But we have old equipment, and so we have to all come to an agreement of what our expectations are with the money that they're given, and everything is being cut, and he can't keep doing more with less.
I agree. We do need to come to an agreement on what the expectations of what our money is buying. And privately, the three of us at the very least should talk about that. There has been some serious, and it's not just things I've seen, there has been some serious, I want to say, waste and quality concerns that have come up in the last 6 months or so. There's a lot of things that I have questioned for longer than that, things that have been brought to my attention, but driving the pond road 4 or 5 times a day over the past 3 months, it has really opened my eyes to the lack of, how do I want to put that without sounding like a jerk? The work isn't holding up. It costs around $3,000 a day to run the highway department. And I struggle to find $3,000 in value in some of the work that's being done. So we should come up with an expectation. And one of those things being the culvert that you and I have talked about. Another one of those things being we pay a great deal of money to go out and do perm removal. And then I see 6 loads of gravel dumped in front of somebody's house where they're complaining, and I see berms placed across their lawn with a grader. Nobody goes out there and gets those. I know some of it's the nature of the work. I truly do. But there's been no skill improvement. I don't know. I'm incredibly disappointed with how things have been going for the last little while.
I would tread lightly though, because it's so hard to find help.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm all done being held hostage as well.
No,
The work was getting done before this crew was here.
Unless they could find their $80,000 in the highway budget for next year.
To Michelle's point, they can't. We have done exactly what she's accusing us of doing. We have gutted their budget. Every time there is a budget meeting that comes up and we discuss where we're going to find money, we take $5,000 out of the sand budget. We take $10,000 out of class 3. We take. And you're right, we do. We hold them to a higher standard every single time we take something from them. You're not wrong. It's an impossible situation. It's up to us to do what we can do. Unfortunately, that's going to mean, in my opinion, at least for this year and probably in the next, they're going to have to toggle that Dodge together and make it work.
Doesn't the grants help us though, to do the work that needs to be done?
they did all of their own work this year. They did not contract it out at all. And I think Dylan's pretty proud of that. And I
Yes.
am as well.
Yep.
They saved the town a crap ton of money.
Yep.
So
So,
that's how it used to be, and it is.
and it's back to
great.
that now.
Yeah,
So,
no floods.
And the grant work that they have done has been impeccable. I find no fault with the grant work that they've done. I was biking the other day and I took a little detour to Corley Road and spent, you can ask my wife, I spent an inordinately long amount of time.
On that area where he put it in was better. So
Yeah, and you
that was
can,
washed out and this will probably hold.
and you can tell that it's better because you can see all the work that was done previously out in the riverbed, blocking the river before. I mean, that work is fantastic. It's the day-to-day, the maintenance stuff. It's the grading. It's the pouring gravel in front of somebody because they've lined house. It's the day-to-day stuff. It's the those are the things that I have seen and have received complaints about. Things are trending in the right direction. I don't want to turn this into I hate the highway department conversation. Things are improving. They are getting better. You know, brush is being cut. I no longer have to hear about mirror sticks and dump trucks. And, you know, I no longer hear Bob Weiss saying that he has to drive on the wrong side of the road to keep his passenger mirror pushed out of his door. I don't have to listen to that anymore. Things are improving. But I just don't see how, I mean, in the last 3 years, the highway budget has climbed 300,000,
That's because of insurance, really.
not 300,000. And they don't have old equipment. The only thing over there with any age on it at all is the dump truck and the chipper.
But they are acquiring new equipment.
Yeah.
That was imposed, you know, I mean.
Yeah.
Sorry. I have to mention that we had a workers' comp, totally forgot when I was talking. Billy was welding and a spark flew into his ear, so he went to the emergency and we filled out the forms and everything. He went back to work after that, but I do have to let you know. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Okay. I think it was a hot one stuff.
Yeah.
It was, put it in there.
He came in, sat down with me, we filled it right out on the computer.
He said Jim was there to help him. Yeah, with the, so got water on.
I know, I just had to inform you, so sorry about that.
Well, we can sit down and have a meeting, but I think it would be best if Dylan,
He and I have spoken about it.
yeah,
And his response, in my opinion, was less than satisfactory, but you know, to your point, you gotta tread lightly.
Dylan, he has to know that he has to do his job. And he's learning a lot in the leadership training, and I think that what he's learning is that some other styles, and he's learning a good style, like an acceptable style, and he's just said that he thinks that other people should be taking that leadership training as well. So.
Yeah.
I just feel like there are ways that we can approach that so that we can all achieve what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
But I'm willing, you know, I'll schedule a meeting between the three of us.
Okay.
So I assume that's a no then on the vehicle for now, and I'll tell him to just proceed.
I haven't heard from the other two.
I'm all for keeping it going for until our. Therefore, I don't know, but the
Equipment schedule.
equipment schedule is reasonable.
Dylan's truck is due as well. He would like to order one this year to get for next year. So we've got that.
I'd like to see, what happened to our equipment schedule?
Well, you were gonna work with me many, many times to get that updated. I have it based on what I can understand, but
Yeah, given the delivery has been averaging almost 2 years, he is due to order his. I think in order for it to jump into the rhythm the way that it's supposed to, we were gonna have to stack two. Which is another reason why I'm hesitant to spend any money on a smaller truck that we have gotten by without. I mean, it hasn't been ideal, I understand, but we have gotten by. If we're gonna have to dump another 40 grand a year into the equipment budget for the next 7 years to buy another new truck, I would rather that be a Western Star tandem or whatever. whatever we decide to go with.
That Dodge was basically free, just so you know.
Yeah,
free.
it was a replacement from a fire.
Well, we lost a Ford, so.
Hmm.
Remember that, Linda? That was. I got a call from Collinsville Repair that our truck had gone into the store.
What we need is another guy to steal it, but this time not bring it back. I didn't say that. Um, I guess I would ask, because budget season, God help me, is approaching. I guess I would ask this year during our budget session to very gently, with a thump upside the head with a very big stick, remind us that we need to be provisioning for this. We need to be dumping money into an account that puts us in a position to buy these.
That's why we need to update the schedule that we had, which, Kurt did. But I don't know which truck is which.
Yeah, I've seen, Michelle has sent out an updated version at some point. God, it feels like so long ago.
And we did some Google documents to share documents.
Yeah.
I've tried to update it, but I don't know everything, and so I can take a look at it again, because I have a clearer understanding, but,
Yeah, I, shortening my rant, real sorry about that. Shortening my rant down to, I'm sorry, but it just seems like we're gonna have to limp that Dodge along. I'm super disappointed in it, but
Here's the other point. What about finding something that's a little newer but not so used?
that's not impossible. But again, if we're looking at, if the value of this one is around 15 grand, I'd kind of like to stick with Devil I Know.
I mean, it's had a lot of repairs, but if you go with a flatbed, he's gonna have to shovel and shovel off,
But
on and off the sand to do any sanding.
they have that polycaster anyway. It doesn't go directly into the bed, so they don't dump anything out. They spin it all out. When they do dump it out. I don't think that, Dylan has said to me in the past, they don't use the dump body all that often anyway.
It's more for equipment hauling things while you're heavy objects, you gotta pick up and move around.
and it's real difficult to get like posts and stuff when you do pick up and general errands, it's real difficult to get anything into that bed.
Yeah, visibility sucks. I mean, they're awful to drive. They're horrible.
The little truck.
Yeah, the little ton truck.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not
you
anymore.
run around and get parts and stuff with it.
They're not anymore
Expensive
tandems.
parts.
Well, you know what I'm saying, is they'll run more, so. It's not really be paying,
Gas mileage on
Yeah.
the one. I mean, they use their trucks, but they have leases, and so they can't keep driving their trucks.
Right, well, they shouldn't have to use that. I
But they
agree.
had to, because this
Yeah.
one time,
Has been dead.
and it might to be, but anyway.
Well, if the majority of the repair cost is on that body, once we just eat the cost of the flatbed for the next 2 years and look at what that.
Dylan had a price for a flatbed, right?
Yeah, but I don't know exactly what, because there's, when you say body work, I think this is probably a bigger conversation.
The chassis is fine. He thinks the chassis will get us through another year.
So doors, cab corners, rockers,
He thinks-
fenders.
Yeah, he thinks it's just the bed body. And he has been looking on Facebook Marketplace for a new flatbed.
Yep.
But he thinks that if he does the welding on the body himself, he's not sure, maybe 2,000 to do that, but you said it could be cheaper. And then a new flatbed would be about 4.
Yes.
Or a new used flatbed. would be
Yeah.
about that.
I'd be curious to see, I mean, I haven't seen the ton truck in months, so I don't know what it looks like.
It sat for 6 months and it's in bad shape, he said. It's in more shape than they took it in, only because it's out.
Yeah. I would be interested to see what the cost of a flatbed looks like versus what it's actually gonna take to be inspected, but I think that we should probably send it through that inspection before we make any decisions on that. It
You can
is-
see what you're looking at.
And see what we're looking at. It's wild to me that it just came back from Collinsville. When did we get it back? 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yes, I would say, yeah.
And we don't have a detailed list of,
Beginning of September, I think it was.
they didn't give us a detailed list of what it was gonna take when we bring it back up there for a sticker.
Well, I don't think we asked them to.
I'm amazed that they didn't just
Or
do
maybe
it
they did and I
themselves.
haven't heard.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
I just paid the bill, I can look.
Yeah, there was nothing in the order I looked, because I was curious. I only looked through the orders because I was curious.
What do you got now?
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, moving on. I need to ask the board if they would like us to hire an attorney, John Kletch, to review the personnel policy. He quoted us because BLCT no longer does that service. They recommended this attorney, John Kletch. He would charge us about $500 to review only the highlighted sections that I sent him of the personnel policy, because the rest has been either reviewed or is boilerplate. Or he would do a nonsense $1,700 to review the full policy. And then what do we have in our budget?
See,
You can put in 500 right there.
Didn't we bump that up?
Oh, you might, because we talked about the easements.
Line item 6340 legal services. This shows a budget item of $2,500.
We did.
That says zero as of yet.
I don't think we've used anything. David Polo has been going into the wastewater.
Do we know of anything that we're anticipating?
What was the reason that we bumped it up? There was something that we were thinking about. Is that what it was?
Wasn't it the east limits that we bumped it up this?
I don't remember.
I think it was for all your culvert work,
Lawyers, the lawyer fee?
for easements and that for the newer culverts.
And that's all gonna be covered under the grant.
Right, and but we didn't know it.
The only thing I can think of is, coming up in the year, unless somebody who does or something, but is, we're starting a discussion on, the leasing of the schoolhouse and eventually the depot building and what that would entail. We'll probably take a lawyer to review all that.
That's happening over this week.
Well, we're starting the discussion because, we're hiring an architect, we're starting to do work. It's our money. I'm just feeling nervous that we should have start negotiations.
If you want me to cities in town say why they didn't do it anymore?
That's not a service, they just, they
But they don't do anything, hardly.
I remember we used to buy them.
Yeah, you could, pay for legal, it was
Yeah.
$50 an hour.
I offered to pay for it and they just said that's not, they don't provide that service, so they recommended. I mean, you saw the email.
I know.
Yeah.
It's part of their budget cut plan is how they they couldn't raise their fees, they just cut back services, what they were doing.
These took lawyers on staff.
And they do answer questions. I think this is the time.
They're not to the level that I would like the answers for, though. Yeah, big.
So it has to happen. So do we want to do the 500 or for the partial review? But again, it's been.
So it's either we have a partial review to feel assured that we've made, what we can do, or we can just do it anyway without having it reviewed and hope for the best. That's the choices we have. How many places did you highlight for $500?
One, it's not a lot, but one was to drop the standard requirements for the use of sick leave. You felt that sick leave should be able to be used for whatever, and these were very specific requirements, but they're state standard uses of sick leave. And I don't feel comfortable bumping those. Well, I think it's in our benefit. It's gonna hurt us less if we drop those as opposed to initiating those. So that's probably not gonna hurt us too badly. For that.
I don't know, how does the board feel? Do you feel like spending that kind of money on it or taking your chance? That's your option.
I'm not a lawyer, but I didn't see anything egregious in it. I mean, if anything, we have made it less restrictive than it was. I don't. I'm gonna feel silly if we end up in a lawsuit with an employee about something, but I really don't think that anything is gonna come out of the personnel policy.
They mostly clarified things, made things clear.
There was one about personal use of town equipment. That we added. We just clarified it. Because and I've checked this in other personnel policies. The standard text or verbiage is the town computer system is to be used by employees for the purpose of conducting town business. All electronic communications regarding town business should be, to the furthest extent possible, conducted via official town computer systems. Then we added, if a town employee uses his or her personal devices for town business, they must conduct business with the same professionalism as they would using the town computer systems. Personal devices could be subject to FOIA requests, and the use of personal devices for non-work matters is prohibited during work hours. We could drop that last sentence, and the other is just more informative, in my opinion. Because the last sentence kind of conflicts with the other. It said, to the furthest extent possible, restrict your use of personal business.
So the board, how does the board want to go? Do you want to forgo a legal review of our changes, or do you want to spend $500? Michael's no.
Sounds like we don't need that.
So I guess the board unanimously is not in favor of reviewing it for that fee.
The only questionable thing would be on the computer part, and if you want to do it by hourly rate. This price is still cheaper than what I've heard around Most lawyers are paying $700 to $800 an hour.
So we are unanimous. So we have Lucian and Dylan and I opened the engineering design bids yesterday for East Hill Road, that culvert across from Mike Green's house. And we awarded the project to Wilson Consulting Engineers. He was the lowest bidder. And so I just need, I think, approval to go ahead and grant that bid. And I've contacted FEMA because I don't know what the next steps are, because I don't want to start designing that project until we know really what they're looking for. And so I don't know, I have to talk to Mo to see what comes first. We have to have the design before they can proceed, but they did split this project out from the other projects, and they did say they're gonna award us money to do the design first. So we're still trying to wait. We're trying to figure out if we can get that it's an unnamed stream or tributary. It's an unnamed stream. Classified as intermittent, but there's always water in it. So I don't know that it's perennial. We don't know. We're speculating if the water's coming down from those ponds up there, if there's a spring nearby. But I've talked to Michelle Redmond and Chris Brunel, and they're going to kind of send somebody out. That could take months. I don't know. So I'm in touch with FEMA. But anyway, if the board would like to vote, to award Wilson Consulting Engineers for $16,250.
I'll make a motion to award the engineering bid to Wilson Engineering for the amount of $16,250 for the East Hill project, culvert project. In a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So
Right, do we want to wait for Ellen? Ellen, are you in favor of awarding that bid to Wilson Engineering for the East Hill Road culvert? In the amount,
16,250.
Sounds good.
kennel update, I've been in touch with Alex with Hyde Park, he's the Hyde Park town administrator. He met with Brent, who's the Morristown's town administrator, and also Morristown's PD chief and their ACO last week. They're still conducting a search of the town-owned property in Hyde Park as well as Morristown to determine if there's a suitable location to construct a kennel. Morrisville has offered up the highway department to pour the concrete pad and minimize out-of-pocket costs to construction. They're continuing to explore alternative locations like NCAL and a few dog rescues in the area. They're trying to have a list generated and the cost breakdowns before the budget season is over so that we can plan accordingly. Once they have a list of potential sites, Alex is going to create an interlocal group together to work through it in more detail. They're envisioning the towns dividing up the operating costs, which are heat, electricity, et cetera, and not having then the daily boarding fees or any other superfluous fees that we are being charged now. It would just be a shared facility that meets the town's needs of boarding stray and surrendered dogs. So still kind of up in the air, but they're hoping to get it together.
They're moving.
Pardon?
They're moving.
And then I wanted to remind the select board, because of an issue that came up, that the select board serves in the position of the Wolcott Town Service Officer. So you are the officers for the town services. And you're tasked with assisting residents with emergency aid And specifically, just going to read you the bullet points. They'll be in the minutes. You are to assist individuals with emergency needs such as food, fuel, shelter, or after regular business hours or on weekends when the Vermont Department for Children's Services is closed. The board in this position is to act as an advocate for community members struggling with food and housing insecurity. The board is to act as in regards to informing residents about available social programs and help them navigate the social welfare system. The board should take applications, determine eligibility for general assistance, and grant funds advanced by the state. I'm not sure about that because of the other social services that we have, that's what you're tasked with. And finally, you maintain strict confidentiality regarding the identities of individuals receiving assistance. That said, I'm working on, there's a homeless person in Vermont, in Wolcott, living in their cars. I spent the last 2 days contacting every agency that we have, that we can access. And I think I have it, and Ryan Bierke has been helping me. We learned a lot, and I think that we've offered this person the use of the shower here, and they declined it, but we're gaining trust in this person. They may come and use the shower. These may be specifics. I brought clothing. They are getting food, but sometimes the food shelves are empty. So we're just checking in on this person daily. And then I was able to get the information that we need to get this person on the rural transit system. They get 6 round trip ticket drives a month. And we'll get this person to Capstone on Monday, and we'll be making the appointments and setting up tomorrow. Because they cannot stay, otherwise we have to then have this person move on when it gets too cold. We're trying to get housing, temporary housing, before winter sets in. And there's just a lot of background that's resistant, making this resistant to these services. So we're on it. That's all I have. Oh, actually, is there a date that the select board has in mind that they would like this person absolutely trespassed? Or should we kind of wait to see in our next meeting after we get progress?
They're trespassing on the public property.
Yeah, oh, so to get them to leave, the sheriff has to sort of evict them. I'll say trespassing.
And where they are now is currently town land.
Mhm.
It's not inside the state right away.
No,
Because if they wheeled their car a little closer to the road, we wouldn't be able to do anything with it. It would be the state that would have to.
It would be dangerous.
It would be dangerous.
Very dangerous. We can revisit this at the next meeting if you want to think about it. It's not getting that cold yet.
like November 15th or something. November 1st. I'm just throwing that out, but why don't you officially bring it up at another meeting?
I mean, by the 15th or December 1st, it's
Yeah,
bad
We're in dangerous territory there.
because we don't need another couple dying like they did up on the Jones Road.
That's all I have.
Thank you for helping them.
Been learned. I'm not
Michelle, could I ask you a question?
sure.
Have you also inquired if this person's EBT card is current?
These are things that this person does not yet know, but Capstone can help us. They don't have a lot of information, or it's difficult to get that information out, but they have they have a case manager already assigned to them, which makes things a lot faster to get things pushed through.
So this person has been a couple of years in Morrisville. Most of the people there know that person already. Familiar with. It seems like this person needs, direction. Help.
I think, both Ryan and I were able to connect with this person a little bit closer, and I feel like they are trusting us a bit more. And so I will be going with this person to Capstone to sort of interpret, because this person is kind of on a loop. They perseverate on a loop of information, and if you kind of guided, I watched Ryan Bierke kind of guide that loop today, and I learned a little bit. So I think that we can kind of guide through that loop and maybe act on their behalf or help them when they visit with Capstone. Does that answer your question, Monica?
Yes, I do know that the EBT cards do like need to be renewed like every 3 months, and where the individual previously was, from my understanding, they would have set the individual up with an EBT card, but since the person has been living on where in that spot for so long, unless there is some way for the person to get in touch with um, the state and renew it, fill out the paperwork again, then it may have expired. That's why I was asking.
Okay, that's a good point. Thank you. Well, we'll find out when we meet with Capstone.
Thank you, Michelle. Request from CCS contractors,
They actually call themselves constructors.
constructors, so it's looking at it. They want to rent, some space at 64 School Street for a year, while they do the bridge replacement. So I did reach out to Vermont Emergency Management. Regarding the parking of construction vehicles on its face, they said this would not be an allowable use, as this entails parking vehicles for a long length of time, whereas the allowable parking use is for temporary parking. But then they go on and say afterwards that they'd like more details, especially exactly what they would be parking and where. So I do have a meeting with Brian and from CCS and someone from Vermont Emergency Management Friday at 10 to go to the site and look at it. Hopefully we can convince them that it's not on the floodplain and it would be a safe use. You know, so that's where we're at.
That's this Friday.
Mm-hmm. I think the person's name is Stephen Libby.
Um,
Review final edits for organizational structure.
I made the suggested changes in the org structure. Chart. I did not list though, because it's a new one, this, that the select board is indeed the community services rep. So I should probably put that up under
Officer, it's called this town service officer.
town service officer. And that would.
Well, that's by default. Because we don't have one.
And that would be under appointed positions then, right, in the green box?
I don't know.
Because it's not voter appointed, it's select board appointed.
I don't remember. It's really, whether it's appointed or just by default. I can't remember.
Any other changes?
Just zoning administrators is just one. There's an S on that. Can't see that we'll have more than one.
Sorry.
The blue zoning administrators has an S on it.
Oh, okay, thanks.
He might have more than one animal control officer, so I would leave that.
You want me to?
I mean, if you're gonna put town service, we're also the liquor control board. I mean, we can go on and on and on. I wouldn't put all that stuff in
Okay.
here. This is the basics.
You serve on the cannabis board.
Yeah. That looks good to me. Anyone else? Anything?
The only thing that I had, and this is more of a question. The fire warden. No, some of, fire warden is the one that comes to mind, but some of these ones, select board appointed positions, don't we recommend someone at the state does the
Yeah, the
final?
fire warden and the health officer are, select board recommended, state appointed.
I don't know if that needs to be, if it's worth trying to outline that we don't get the final stamp.
So just do a 2 asterisk and say, state appointed, select board recommended state appointed. Because they're still listed under paid staff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if the rest of us think that it's worth denoting that we don't get the final say with those.
So I can say, select board recommended state appointed.
Yeah, okay.
You have the fire warden in the select board appointed positions. Do you have the health officer in there? I don't see. Yeah,
Oh, you're right, okay.
Yeah, and then again, kind of a minor thing, but the 2 boxes, the Board of Abatement and Board of Civil Authority. They consist of the same people. You could maybe combine that into 1 box and. I mean, at this point, I think.
so it's the justice of the peace. And then, so justice of the peace are elected by the voters. And then, there's a board of abatement, board of civil authority, it just are, I don't know, whatever.
Are those elected positions?
No,
The. Those are all elected positions, correct?
yeah,
So they come from the
they are.
voters. So I'm hearing that I should combine these into one, the Board of Abatement and Civil Authority into one box. And then add the designation or denote that the add health officer into the green box. And then denote those with 2 asterisks that they are select board recommended and state appointed.
And I would say the top orange one, you should say voter elected, not appointed.
Oh, okay.
And if you're gonna do that, you might as well just, what are you doing, combining the Board of Abatement and the Board of Civil Authority?
If you wish, yeah. Suggested it.
Yeah, so, but the voters don't really elect those 2 boards. They just elect people individually in the board, and you know what I mean? In the first box, voter elected. Voters elect cemetery commissioners, they elect justice of the peace. They don't really elect the Board of Abatement or the Board of Civil Authority. But because they've already elected the lister, the select board and the town clerk.
So you're thinking get rid of those 2 arrows?
Well, these things, they don't elect these 2 boards.
Maybe that's why in the past, I kind of pulled this from like Alice. Maybe that's why they said voter appointed.
They're still don't, I mean, point or elect, I mean, the voters,
Indirectly.
yeah, because the Board of Abatement consists of the Justice of the Peace, the listers of the Select Board and the Town Clerk, which have already been voter elected. Take it out, it's too confusing.
Take what out?
2 boards. In the
The
first,
abatement
in the
and
first bucket, orange bucket, the Board of Abatement and the Board of Civil Authority.
Okay, and keep them and then spelled out in another bucket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
This is, the treasurer. I asked Belinda and she said no, but should the treasurer have an asterisk, that denotes a body that has supervision, control, or jurisdiction over legislative, quasi judicial, tax, or budgetary matters? No. So they just basically, they have no.
You all set here?
You want to vote on with these changes, or do you just want to revisit it next time?
Voting then. You want, if everyone else is.
I make a motion to accept the organization chart as presented tonight. After all those changes.
Second,
I'll second.
Is that a carpenter? No, I think.
all those in favor? Aye, opposed, so carried. Review finalized for Wolcott driveway permit. Why do you have road foreman in yellow? Highlighted.
That one I shut down and pull it up. Oh, because I added road foreman. We just had road commissioner before. So I added road foreman everywhere. I wanted you to see that I added it.
So having that little line in between it, does that mean that they're one and the same or?
It's and or. Like, it's and or I can spell it out.
I just want to make sure it said and or.
You want to say and?
No, if that's what it means.
Down below, 1, 2, 3, 4 from the bottom, you have road commissioner or road foreman. If you're gonna
Okay.
go with that nomenclature, you should keep it
Yeah.
consistent.
Yes, you're right.
In the name of consistency, also first bullet, fourth bullet. Submitted the form at least 7 days prior to anticipated construction, and then we also ask for notice of 48 hours prior to construction. Is that necessary or is that redundant?
It depends on if they're coming off one of our roads.
Oh, and you know what, actually, I take back my question because yes, but also if the permit's good for a year. It would seem silly to apply for a permit and then say, oh, and also. I'll be leaving on Wednesday.
Well, if they were to apply for it at this time of the year and they're unable to put the structure in, then they would have to call in April or May and say, hey, this is happening.
Yeah, no, I take back my question. Never mind.
The fifth bullet, the permit is good for 1 year is what I added. That's why it's highlighted in green because I saw it in in others. And I think Michael and I talked about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I added that clause.
Is there a record of these permits somewhere? Should this include a provision that there will be a record stored somewhere?
There should be and have been records. Tom has been able to find them.
Yes, once they're part of their fee, yes, it's recorded in the land records in the highway book. Because when you have a title search done, the attorneys are gonna look for that.
I was just wondering if it should be on this list.
What list?
That it's
Well,
recorded.
what I'm looking at here.
On the list and say what?
That it will be recorded somewhere.
Are all of our permits recorded?
Yeah. The green, the second one, the applicant must place 2 grade stakes and flagging tape markings and flagging tape marking the location of the sides of the proposed driveway road, with the applicant's name on the flagging tape. I added that because it seemed to make sense to me.
Yep.
So that Dylan, when he goes out, or the road permit goes out.
We could maybe loosen that and just say markers. I mean, I personally think that grade stakes aren't that restrictive, but
So just place 2 markers.
yeah. You know, a lot of people use plow stakes, and I guess that would technically be.
And they don't really need then the applicant's name. I think that's a little overkill.
Yeah, I mean. That will all be on this.
What I tried to do here is capture the main points because. And also I think I referenced the ordinance, the highway ordinance.
Yep, and that B71, B-Trains B71 sketch.
Yeah. I think I added also in the last bullet, that payment must be received by the town prior to the town placing the order of the culvert, which is what you guys requested that I add before. You did want the yellow highlight culverts will be maintained by the town. You wanted that struck. I just wanted you to see that I was striking that. That paragraph. Couple of sentences.
I'm just asking for an opinion here. Does anybody think that this would prohibit us from replacing the culvert should we choose to? For any reason, I mean, I know that it's, according to this, it's the homeowner's responsibility. But if we're doing a big grant aid project somewhere and we decide that we want to upsize the culvert, this isn't going to keep us from doing that.
No, this is actually by striking that, then we go back to then this was conflicting with the ordinance, so it is the town's responsibility.
Yeah.
To maintain the driveway culverts until we change that.
Once we do this, it won't be.
No, we have to change our ordinance.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we said last meeting, if we're gonna change our ordinance, we need to go through the whole ordinance.
And so, but this conflicts with the ordinance, so we wanted to make the driveway permit match the current ordinance. And then I will add that there will be a stop sign and a road sign fee for new subdivisions that would have to be covered, as well as the $25.
This is a driveway permit.
Oh, okay, so not.
No,
Yeah, I think that would go through a different box.
Okay.
yeah,
But my base. On the second page, 2, I added that this permit would be subject to the 2006 Town of Wolcott Highway Standards Ordinance article, and I cited the article and sketch that is attached. And then I did add the contact information.
What's the purpose of the zoning or Act 250 application checkbox?
That was there before, so I don't know, I just kept it.
it is the old one. I don't know why I wanted to.
I mean, it can go.
I have no idea why.
I don't know enough about zoning or like what that has to do with, I mean, you can't put a driveway probably in a wetland or something.
Mhm. Yeah,
Well, we're not qualified wetland experts either. I mean, they're the ones on all these permits saying it's okay for them to do it. We don't have anyone qualified that works for the town of Wolcott to say whether it's in a wetland or not.
So
I don't know, I have no idea why,
that's why we're
a
asking. them.
zoning or an Act 250 application has been filed, why it's been there since I was here.
I would say because it's on the property owner then file.
Right,
maybe just to attach it to, you know, if somebody comes for a building permit.
the only thing they ask for, if they say yes, is, if yes, give application number.
It might just be a filing thing.
Something that's not been consistently entered is who the work is gonna be completed by on any of the permits that I see that get signed off on. I don't know if that's
It's
just.
funny either.
It's never there, so should that go away or, because these are the, maybe they don't know yet who's gonna be doing the work.
I don't really, I personally don't really care who is doing it.
Do you need to know just for the future, like if on like a deed, if someone's coming to get a title search, like who did the drive? I don't know.
No,
No, should that go away then?
I mean, ultimately, the property owner is responsible, not the contractor.
Right.
If you have a problem, then you go to the property owner. I don't know why you would need to go talk to them.
Get rid of it?
Yeah, and then you can put in there for the space for Dylan to sign.
Oh, I already have it on anyone, I have it on the right, so we have, dropped it to the three select board signatures.
Oh, yeah, I see the new one.
And then, the road foreman to sign.
No one ever fills in date, expect to begin where.
Cause that's gonna be due to weather, so how can you predict it?
If they haven't got a contractor yet.
And I know it was in the last one, the bullet point, you must notify road commissioner or road foreman if you plan to place underground cable under a town highway. That's incredibly important information. Everyone should know it. Wondering what it's doing here in the driveway permit.
Maybe, in the right of way, it should actually be in the right of way.
The excavation permits.
You have to notify if you're gonna plan on putting, because a lot of people will bury their cables in the ditching or in. Yeah, I guess maybe it doesn't. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a use case, right? You know, you got your pole on the wrong side of the road and rather than doing overhead, you run it under the road.
Was that in the old one?
I think it was in the old one.
Yes, it was in the old one. And so I think maybe it was in the old one because at some point we had an incident and we had to create that excavation permit. So that probably served, this is really old, served that purpose until we got a new excavation permit. Now we're digging. We had to create that.
So could it be yanked
When
from
I was
this?
still a town clerk, I paid.
But it would still capture it and have it record it too.
Yeah, I mean, it has, there's no harm in having it. I was just curious.
I assumed if people were putting their wires in the right of way, in the culvert that's in the right of way, that that's what it covered.
Mhm.
And then should the town go in and have to maintain that, then they were placed there correctly and probably deep enough. I don't know. That's kind of what I was.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I don't see any harm in leaving it. I was just curious.
Probably you should get rid of under the town highway. It should be in a culvert in the truck and town right of way, right?
Up by the female.
Yeah, I would say in the town right away.
That's what it says in the excavation permit. It requires the permit to work within the town right of way.
And not under a town highway, just in the town right of way. Anything else you want to see there as far as instructions?
So it says attached. Does that mean that when these are handed out, they have?
It's a packet of these three items.
Okay.
I didn't include, I'm sorry, I didn't print, yeah. The other, there's a drawing that shows Devalsi in it.
Yeah.
And that has not been updated. I looked at nothing. It's the same drawing.
The excavation permit does not call out, those dates. That's funny.
The 48 hours or whatever.
Probably
The 1 year.
October to May. Yeah, there's.
You think one is right and the other is wrong?
No, you wouldn't want someone digging up the road in the middle of winter, would you? I think that's what I'm looking at.
It's in the state permits for stuff, or it's a. Main roads anyways, when plow season comes, you get thrown off.
How we doing here? I'm fading.
If this is acceptable, then we could just call for a motion to pass it and get it out there.
I'll make the motion that we adopt this with the changes that we made here tonight.
And when we can spell it this?
Sorry, driveway permit.
Give a second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor? Aye, opposed, so carried. All right, the Wolcott Community Trust is asking, select board permission to apply for a grant for the historic preservation. For window replacements. It would be a 50-50 match, but the Wolcott Community Trust would pay the match. It would be between 30 and 40,000. Just asking permission to apply for the grant.
Where are the windows?
The schoolhouse, they would not be replaced, they would be,
Reglazed.
yeah, repaired,
So not replacements, but repair, like repairs.
preserving them or whatever. I mean, part of this whole deal is that it's gonna stay historic, so the glass will not be replaced.
We call it window preservation.
Yeah,
Preservation for windows. Pretty good.
I would make a motion to allow the local community trust to apply for that grant with them planning to pay for the match. The grant match.
it's a historic preservation grant.
And is it the Wolcott Community Trust, not the historic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, community trust. To. I'm sorry, Michael, you said with the, to apply for the grant with the 50-50 match, with the 50% match coming from.
The local community trust.
For a second,
I'll second.
any further questions or discussions? Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. I just wanted to tell you that, yeah, things are starting to move with those buildings. We've hired, an architect, Preservation Trust put it out to bid, about 10 or 12 firms applied, but, we have one for ours, and, so they'll be starting that at the beginning of October, some designs, schematic designs. I have an attorney working on our 501c3 exemption. The federal government. What else? We've had some pretty positive response from the community for the barbecue, and we held an event. The planning commission is just today approved monies for a phase 1 environmental site assessment and lead and asbestos testing, which is required of the federal monies, you know, for the trust that we have. So that will be paid for through that. And that's it. We're moving along, and that's why I'd like to work with the board on acceptables, at least before we invest too much money in the building. And plus, when the architect comes, there'll probably be questions in terms of the building and usage and so forth. And the last thing is, I sent you all an email tonight about meeting on October 8th with Sept about our Wolcott zoning regulations pertaining to building in the flood zone. That a number of people have asked about, and it just seems like there's a lot of speculation out there, so hopefully we can get some solid answers on what is and isn't acceptable. That's all I have.
At what time is this meeting?
6 o'clock here. It looks like Belinda's scheduled the Board of Civil Authority at 5:30. But that shouldn't take too long. Pretty positive, and maybe that's why she scheduled it. Cause it's on here, I put floodplain fix.
I think she thought that it could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it could take place now.
Yeah, when she does it on select board nights, I think she usually gets a half an hour for.
Linda, when you get that 501c3 status for the trust, could the trust serve as an umbrella for other committees so they could start collecting donations, tax for like, you know?
I'll have to look into it. I know that right now, the Preservation Trust is our fiscal sponsor, so people can make donations to them and get the tax deduction, but the money will go to us because we will be starting a pretty heavy donor campaign coming up soon.
Maybe when you meet with the lawyers and when you're getting your 501c3 status, I know it takes some time, but can you ask that question if what it takes to become the umbrella organization to the sponsoring organization, because that would benefit other committees, I think, in town to utilize that to start fundraising, even for the athletic committee and you know, the arts committees and things like that, and really start fundraising that way better. If you wouldn't mind just asking.
Okay.
Thanks.
We don't have Richard here.
He's happy to stay here.
Oh, good.
Fine, I'll do it. I'll make a motion. Can we go home?
A second,
I'll second.
in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Figuring it.
Live or?
Not live. She thinks it's live. It's
Oh.
never live. It's 78 years old.